Today we're going to be talking more about arrays. But before we go talking about arrays, can you guys please, if you have not done it so far, if you can please sign up for the STEP program. Yes, the link is below. We're working with your school to provide you these videos. This is how we get our funding. All you have to do is sign up. Okay, thanks. Please sign up. One of the things to consider when working with arrays is that you could have arrays of arrays, or list of list, or list of list of list.
One of the best ways to think about arrays and lists are if we look at Bandcamp. Bandcamp's a great website to find some new music. They even have a section called List. And here are different lists of different types of music available. Each of this actually has a list, right? So a list of different bands and their songs. So if we go into this band, let's say The Heat from London. Now this is The Heat's page. And on this page, there's a list or an array of different albums. So, right, they're part of a list, this post-punk rock list. Within their page, they have a list of different albums. And then if you go into an album, right, here it is. So now there's a list of songs, right? That's an array of songs. And we'll call this array this heat array, right? And that's within the array of this heat, the band array, right? And they're part of an array or a list in the guide to the brain-bending discography of post-punk giants, this heat. So they're part of another list. So this is how you can understand lists within lists within lists, or arrays within arrays and arrays, and how we build out applications on the internet and for other purposes around the world.
Okay, so today we're doing Unit 2, Lab 2, Making List. Also says page 2. This is Beauty of Joy Computing for a Computer Science AP class. In this lesson, you're planning a quiz app. You're going to be making a quiz app with Snap. Basically what you're doing here is you're just creating something that's going to ask a question and have an answer. And you're actually creating an array of questions right here. If you see here, you're creating an array of questions and with their answers. As with most computing stuff, there's various ways to do the same thing. So for this lesson, what they're showing you is 3 different ways to do this basic same thing using arrays. The important concepts to understand here is that, all right, so let's just get right into the action. So we'll open up our Snap. We're going to save the file, obviously. Save as Unit 2, Lesson 2. Oops, Unit 2, Lesson 2, quiz. That's what I call it, quiz. And then my name. Okay, so we're saving it. So the first thing we could do is we're going to have this little guy be our sprite that we're going to use, and we're going to give him a different name. We're going to call this quiz 1, and we'll have a few quizzes, right? We're going to have 3 versions of the quiz, 2 or 3. We'll see how far we get. And we're going to have some basic questions that we're going to want answered. So let's create these variables, right? So we're going to create the variable quiz 1, right? All right, so like we have this first variable already. You see it right here. This variable needs to be a list or an array. And we do that by setting it. So we have to set it. Well, of course, we need to start with our when green flag is clicked because that's what starts the program. We're going to set this quiz 1 to be an array. And that's this block, a list. It's also represented as this ladder. So we put that in here. And now this is a list. Here, I'm going to add the first question that I have, which for the quiz, which is what is the capital of New York? Question mark, right? The second item will be the answer, which will be Albany. Oops. Albany, right? So if you click on it, it comes up here. And you can see when this block up here, this widget, whatever, I don't know what's really called in this program, right? You know that you have a list or an array. If you wanted to add another question, you press this little arrow going to the right and you add another field. So what color is the sky? Question mark, right? And you can add another one here, blue. Right? And if we click on it, right here, you can see. So this is your list of questions and answers, right? So now we want our little sprite to ask the question. So we have this little sensing module. He can ask a question, right? And it's going to return an answer. That's going to be here at the bottom. If we press the green thing, it says, what is your name? We don't want that question. We want to replace this, right? We want to replace this in code with a question from our list that we created. So that means we're going to go here to the item 1, right? Where's item 1? Here. Item 1 of the quiz 1 list. This right here means that you could input an array. Quiz 1 is an array because we set it right here. We said quiz 1 is a variable. We're going to set quiz 1, the variable, to be an array or to be a list. Now we're going to take the ask function, which is right here where they ask a question, and it automatically allows the user to put in an answer, and that's going to be the answer here. So it returns it back to our program. So we're going to ask item 1 of the array quiz 1. And that item 1 in the array quiz 1 is right here, which is what is the capital of New York? So if we ask the question, that's what it does. What is the capital of New York, right? So we're going to allow someone to type the answer and then input it. And to do that, we want an if statement. Because if they get it right, we will tell them they're correct. And if they get it wrong, well, we could tell them try again. So now we have our if statement here. And then we need operators, right? We need an equals operator. We need the answer to be equal to the second thing in the quiz 1 array, right? So here, let's start with the quiz 1 array, right? We're going to say if item 2, because the answer is item 2, Albany. So if set item 2, let's see, if item 2, and you can just type the number in there, 2 of array quiz 1 is equal to the answer, you can tell them that is correct. So say say that's correct. Let's capitalize that. That's correct for 2 seconds, right? And if it's wrong, so if it's this, do this. If not, no, we'll just leave it there for now. So let's press this, right? What is the capital of New York? And I write Albany. That's correct, right? And there the program ends. Okay, now if we want them to do a second question, right? We want to do the second question. We're going to have to do this again. So we're going to ask, we can actually just duplicate it. And we can ask for item 3. We can type it in there, item 3 of quiz 1. And if they get the answer, which is item 4, right? Item 4 of quiz 1. If the answers are correct, they'll say that's correct. Okay, let's go ahead and do the program. What is the capital of New York? Albany. That's correct. It does that for 2 seconds. Moves on. What color is the sky? Blue. That's correct. And our program is done, right? This is an array. And you're using an array to put your answers and your questions, or your questions and your answers in one array, which is useful unless you were doing, like really a lot of questions, and then you would want a better way to manage it. But this is the simplest way to do it. The second way to do this is you could break these up, right? The first question and the second question into their own smaller array. So to do that, we're going to create a new sprite first. Just one of these. I'm going to paint the sprite. I'll get a circle. I like my circles. And maybe like this. And I'll just say, okay, here's my second circle guy. This will keep up here as like number 1, quiz 1 guy. This is the quiz 2 guy. And this variable quiz 1, we're going to hide it. So we go to our variables, we unclick it so that we don't see it. And we're going to start with, and sprite 2, we're going to write quiz 2 so that we can know that we're doing with the second version of how to do the exact same thing. Quiz 2. Okay. So once again, we're going to start with our hat, because when the hat starts, you start the program. And now we're going to have to create another variable. We're going to have to create the quiz 2 variable so that we're not confused. Make a variable. Quiz 2. All right. Okay, here we go. We have to make that variable be an array or a list. So we're going to set it, right? We're going to set quiz2 to be a list. Okay. Now, so if we click on it, it turns into this kind of block, right? And now we're going to give that quiz 2 areas because we have 2 questions. And within that list, we're going to embed another list, right? So we're going to create another list and put it in here, right? So, and then this one will be, what is the capital of New York, question mark, right? And here is what our Albany, actually not there, sorry, it's here. It's in this, so let me just get it out of there so you can see it. So it's this. What is the capital of New York? Albany, right? We create another list. What color is the sky? And the answer, blue. Okay, so these are 2 different arrays now. Instead of having it all in one array, we have the question answer pair in one array, and then this next question answer pair in another array. And we're going to put that in the quiz 2 array. So you have an array of an array. And it's a little tricky. There we go. Getting it right in the right block. But let me save, because let's all save. Okay. So now if we click on it, right, the list looks a little bit different, right? You have 1, and this question is, what is the capital of New York? Albany. What is the color? What color is the sky? Blue. But it looks different than the original one because you have an array of an array as opposed to just having a list, a continual list. This makes it a little bit more flexible because I can change the order of the questions a little bit more easily instead of having to rewrite the whole list. So that's kind of cool. And that's one of the reasons why we start creating lists of lists or array of arrays. There's certain things that we want to group together, but we want to be able to extract that data. So this is the second way to do it. And now if we continue with that actual ask portion, so we're gonna have our little green quiz 2 guy gonna ask the question, right? And he's gonna ask, let's go back to our variables, item 1, right? Item 1. But now, because it's a list of a list, we have to do the same thing here, right? In order to call it back. So item 1 of, right, quiz 2, right? So what this is saying, let's see if we can do it as a list view. Okay, this makes it a little bit easier to see, right? So this array is the what color is the sky array. This array is what is the capital of New York array. This is 1, 1. So item 1, and then item 1 of quiz 2. So quiz 2, item 1 of the array inside there, right? So if we do it, let's do it. See, what is the capital of New York? Now, let's add our if statement like we had before so that we can, so if, and then we add this equal to, because we want the answer to equal the answer that we have here. So sensing, let's bring on our answer. And now we're gonna go to bring in actually we can just copy it from here. It makes it easier. Duplicate, put that in this, right? But instead of item 1, we're gonna ask for item 2 of item 2 here, item 2 of item 1 quiz 2. I know it's a little confusing, but it's item 2 of item 1, right? So, and then we bring in this answer. And if they're correct, we'll say that is correct. And so let's looks, say that is correct. That is correct. Okay, let's go ahead. What is the capital of New York? Albany. That is correct. Okay, guys, what we have to do here is to make sure that this is not connected so we're not getting anything crazy here on the top. So back to the quiz 2. So let's complete this quiz. So let's go on to the next question. To do that, let's just duplicate this same if statement, right? So now we have 2 if statements. And now we're going to ask the second question. We're going to ask for the second question, which is the second item in the quiz 2. So item 2, I put 2 here, just type it in. And the question is number 1. So always questions are number 1, as you can see here. The ask, the question is number 1. Sorry, I'm putting the wrong thing here, but because we need to actually do the ask. Okay, so here is the ask. So we got to go to sensing, ask, right? And we can copy this guy, duplicate, and put that in the ask. Right. So ask, so we're asking for item 2, which is the second question of quiz 2, the first item, because first items are always the questions. Second items are the answers. So if I break this off, we can look at it sort of separately, right? So here's question 1, answer 1. Question 1, answer 1. Question 2, because it's in quiz 2, item 2, so it's the question 2 is here, and then answer 2 is here. Okay. Let's put those back together. And let's actually hide our quiz 2 so that we don't see that information. Okay. What color is the sky? Blue. That is correct. 2 seconds. Uh-oh. Something did not work. We got an error. So let's try to see where this possible error is. All right, so looking at this code, we're getting this true. Like, what is going on? I hate when this happens. I hate when I'm writing code and it's not working and I don't know why, but this happens all the time. And if we do a closer inspection, since I was doing a lot of copy and pasting, sometimes that creates some oversight. Things look the same, but they're not supposed to be the same. The ask question is incorrect here, right? Because what we're doing, we don't want to ask, is the answer equal to this, right? We don't want to ask that. We want to ask the actual question. We don't want this comparison as part of the answer. That's why we're getting true, because we're getting a data type known as a Boolean, or something that's true or false. But we'll get into data types at the end of this lesson. This is the problem. This is what I needed. My question needs to just be this. Ask for item 2 or item 1, item 1 of quiz 2, item 2. Item 1 of quiz 2, item 2. So the second question essentially. Right, so now it will work. Let's go ahead and try it out. What color is the sky? Blue. Great, that is correct. Wait a little bit. Here, item 1 of 2. It's backwards. Let's do it again. What color is the sky? Blue. That is correct. Wait a second. Now, what is the capital of New York? So, what I did wrong, because I was just copying and pasting, I had the wrong variable in here. It is actually item 2 of quiz 2, or item 1 within item 2 of quiz 2. So if we answer that question, which will be Albany, that's correct. And that's the whole program. So there you go. It's the 2 different ways that you could use lists or arrays to create a quiz. Either one array with all the questions and answers, or 2 separate arrays within a bigger array. Well, see you next week. Bye.